Yes, welcome everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare, for December 17th, 2019. The show, as always, presented by the Marijuana Times. If you want to email me, stonerjesus420@gmail.com. Maybe you have a tip or a story or something you think I should cover or something I've got wrong. You can email it all, stonerjesus420@gmail.com. Today we're talking about the NYPD dropping a case, a rather famous case at this point, of their big 106-pound marijuana bust. It turned out to be a hemp bust, and they had the big picture, and they had it all laid out on the tables. They posted it on Facebook. It was a whole big to-do. We'll update you on that. Also, we'll talk about weed and the so-called link to psychosis yet again. And a brewer in Chicago is celebrating marijuana legalization in their own way. All of that is coming up. First, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSide, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides grow safe and poison-free with NatureSide. Don't use harmful chemicals or banned pesticides. Whatever you're growing, whether it's cannabis or something else, don't put yucky, awful, harmful stuff on things that people are going to be ingesting. Get NatureSide. Instead, it's just that easy. nature-side.com, proud sponsor of the show. Thank you, NatureSide. This first story by Jason Sander at marijuanatimes.org. NYPD drops case against hemp farmers after confiscating 106 pounds. Of course, earlier this fall, we talked about the NYPD confiscating 106 pounds of legal hemp after mistaking it for illegal cannabis. The hemp farmers were unjustly charged with 6 felony counts of drug trafficking. Brooklyn DA's office told the judge they were dropping the charges this week, according to the New York Post. People have been presented with evidence that the substance seized in this case contains less than 0.06% THC, which makes the substance legal hemp under federal and state law. Prosecutor Kerry Rowe told Judge Raymond Rodriguez. The problem is that the unjustly charged farmers of Fox Holler Farms in New Haven, Vermont, might not get their hemp back. Hemp is reportedly worth about $60,000. According to the story in the Post, the DA's office rep claimed that the hemp might not be returned because the wholesaler representing Fox Holler Farms doesn't have a license. The DA's office rep said, quote, because the substance appears to have been imported outside of New York's regulatory guidelines, the release of the property would be a determination to be made by the NYPD in consultation with the Department of Agriculture. In other words, obviously these people don't have a New York license for hemp. They're just transporting it through New York. And apparently the a-holes, the Brooklyn's DA's office, are saying, hey, we can still salvage some of our a-holery over this by keeping the hemp and costing this company $60,000. For what purpose? I don't know. They're even admitting that it's just hemp. It's just hemp. And yeah, I'm saying it's just hemp. It's not even marijuana. You can smoke as much hemp as you want. If you have a problem with people getting high on marijuana, that's not hemp. The prohibition on hemp has never made any sense, even from the perspective of someone who's against marijuana legalization. Because all the reasons they're against marijuana legalization don't apply to hemp. I don't know. You see the picture there. They were so proud. Such a big day for them. I wonder how long it took them to lay all those bags out. All those bags of hemp. They can smoke all those bags, and they'll never get high. They laid them all out nice and neat for their Facebook photo, and it was awesome. And God, go. I'm sorry, I don't want to sound cliche, but go catch some criminals. I mean, really. Is that not your job? Has violent crime been eliminated in New York? I didn't hear about that. All the cases are solved. All the murders, the rapes, the robberies, the assaults, they've all been solved. So now we're taking pictures with hemp. You're grown men. Really, look. Is that, are they, I didn't see, are those 2 men? Look again. Yes, they're 2 men. Okay. I don't want to get in trouble. It's a new age. So make sure. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of what they accomplished. I can only imagine what their faces look like when they found out. Oh, it's hemp. All that stuff you arranged, you took 45 minutes to arrange it on tables. It's just hemp. Sorry. It sucks. This next story from USA Today. You see the title there. Is marijuana linked to psychosis, schizophrenia? It's contentious, but doctors, feds say yes. When you hover over the tab at the story that I'm looking at right now on Chrome, it gives you another title, like an SEO title, I guess. I don't know. It says, weed and psychosis. Does high THC lead to suicide, schizophrenia? That's it. That's the whole thing. But this title, is marijuana linked to psychosis, schizophrenia? Well, there's the question, and you could have stopped the title there based on the body of the article. But no. They moved on with, it's contentious, but doctors, feds, say yes. Now, I know there was a study last year, and I went and looked it up so I get the numbers right, that said that 59% of stories shared on the internet are not clicked on. Meaning that I guess they could have read it earlier in some other spot or in some other way, and they've seen it again now on social media and they want to share it with people. But most likely it means that most of those people saw the title and shared it on that basis. If you look at this title, what do you think? What comes to mind? The word contentious is in there. That's great. But the word contentious has all the power taken out of it by the following, but doctors, feds say yes. So doctors and the federal government agree that marijuana is linked to psychosis and schizophrenia, according to this title, the title of this article. So who's left to counteract that or talk about that? Stoners. That's right. The only side you have left. You got doctors and feds. They're saying it's bad. It's linked to schizophrenia. Who's left? Stoners. Who's going to believe them? But guess what? It is not linked to psychosis and schizophrenia. No link has been established between one and the other. Don't take my word for it. Just read this article. It's linked in the description of this video. The very article I'm talking about. In the body of the article, it refutes that there's a link. Some doctors say there may be based on some studies, and some in the federal government are warning against it, like the Surgeon General or whatever, but they're based on their knowledge and their opinions on the same studies. Let's check out a little bit of the article. They start with this Madison McIntosh person. Freaked out, weird behavior, all kinds of stuff. A one-star baseball player. For months he'd been vaping a potent form of THC, the ingredient in marijuana that makes people feel high, and staying up all night. He swung wildly between depression and euphoria. Okay, they blame that on marijuana because they mentioned nothing else he may have been doing. The doctor diagnosed him with cannabis use disorder and an unspecified psychotic disorder. And they're blaming that on marijuana. No mention of anything else he may have been doing. Nothing else about what was going on in his life. Does that sound like people to you? This is an honest question because a lot of marijuana users watch this show and you have broad experiences that run the gamut. Does that sound like someone to you? He was staying up all night, swinging wildly between depression and euphoria. A bipolar situation, if you will. They blame that on weed. He did that because of weed. They don't mention if he's had a diagnosis of bipolar disorder or anything like that. The first 6 paragraphs of the article is that. And they go to a number of physicians and parents are pushing back against the long-held assertion of users and advocates that marijuana is a safe, benign, and even beneficial drug. So the title implies that doctors and feds just agree that there's a link. Now we're down to a number of physicians and parents whose opinion is they don't think marijuana is a safe, benign, or even beneficial drug. Not a link to psychosis in any way, shape, or form. Those sounding the alarm include the nation's mental health czar, as well as doctors in Colorado, California, and Massachusetts, where marijuana is legal for recreational use. They say the facts are irrefutable. Excessive use of high THC pot and concentrated oil is linked to psychotic episodes that in some cases develop into full-blown schizophrenia. Now, they say they say that some doctors say there's an absolute irrefutable link. And they spend the rest of that article saying, no, not really. The jury is still out on this. There was great disagreement over the strength of the science linking pot and psychosis. They mentioned a couple studies and the different interpretations of these studies. Arguments around how much of the illness is preceded or worsened by the drug use, how often marijuana is used in response to it, and whether the psychosis would have occurred anyway. All very important questions when establishing a link between marijuana use and psychosis. Ziva Cooper, research director of the UCLA Cannabis Research Initiative and a member of the National Academy's panel, said at the end of the day, you can't make a causal statement. Saying that they're linked, irrefutably linked, that's a statement, is it, of cause? You need to have some biological premise to show that this kind of exposure causes psychotic disorder. The federal government and other health officials say the type of psychosis McIntosh experienced and other psychiatric disorders are clearly tied to the drug. They say they have to understand the risks. The government's not making up the data. The doctor pointed out that hospitalizations more than doubled for serious mental health disorders among 18 to 25-year-olds nationally from 2012 to 2018. Okay. To say that some things changed and then point out one variable that might have affected it and ignoring all other variables, is that science? I'm not a scientist, but I remember a little bit of it from high school. I think there's more to it than just saying, hey, some things happened in the last few years, and then this over here happened also, so that those things must be linked, even though we haven't factored in any other aspects of life into that. She cited a study in July that shows 77% increase in suicide deaths from 2010 to 2015 among Colorado 10 to 19-year-olds with marijuana in their systems. First of all, marijuana in their systems, they could have smoked 30 days ago if they're a heavy user. They may have smoked 5 days ago. They may have smoked 9 days ago. So increase in suicide deaths, first of all, they don't say how many. A 77% increase could be a minuscule number to a slightly higher minuscule number, and you have a percentage. I've found in my reading and my research, and in doing this for many, many years, that's usually what happens. When the numbers aren't impressive, they'll give you a percentage increase. They can't say, well, we went from 100 to 177 out of millions of people, because that's not impressive. But if they say it's a 77% increase, and even if there is, that doesn't show anything. When you're depressed or you're anxious or you feel bad, you smoke some weed? I know I do. Does that mean weed caused me to feel bad? Of course not. If I'm thirsty, I drink some water. Did the water cause me to be thirsty? That's the whole argument with this. Which precedes the other? It could very well be that people who have mental problems want to smoke some weed. They want to feel better. And instead of finding out why, they say, oh, well, this weed caused your schizophrenia, and you're just screwed. You're SOL, as we say back in the day. It's just, there is no link. Some people say that there is a link, and they'll point to some studies, but I can show you other studies that say there's not at all. So we're still debating the issue. But if you read that title, and what you come away with is doctors and the federal government all come together to agree that marijuana is linked to psychosis. And what does a link mean to you? When you think of a link between a substance and a harmful health outcome, what comes to mind first? Tobacco and lung cancer, alcohol and cirrhosis of the liver, those things are linked. So you hear, hey, marijuana use is linked to psychosis. Well, you think then, well, that's it. That's it. They've checked it out. The smart people, the government, they've checked it out and they've decided that marijuana causes psychosis, so maybe we shouldn't smoke marijuana. But they haven't found that at all. Moving on. Chicago.eater.com. I noticed the website existed. But if I want to eat in Chicago, that's where I'm going to go. They put Eater in the address. Chicago's Revolution Brewing to release beer celebrating marijuana's legalization. One of the heaviest hitters in Chicago's beer scene, Revolution Brewing, is celebrating the legalization of recreational marijuana sales. Revolution, which runs a Logan Square brew pub and a tasting room in nearby Avondale, is releasing a new beer on New Year's Day to coincide with a change in Chicago's laws, which will allow marijuana purchases at licensed dispensaries. Rev's Legal Hero, according to a news release, doesn't contain THC or CBD. I know. The latter is a popular cocktail and food trend that emerged early in 2019. Both Chicago bars and breweries experiment with CBD. Revolution Brewing owner Josh Death wrote via Josh Death. That's a pretty cool name. Wrote via email. The concept wasn't super premeditated, and sometimes we take the chance to celebrate the moments that can just pass you by. Legal Hero is a hazy IPA made to, quote, showcase the deep, grassy, and resinous qualities of certain hop varieties. I'm not a beer drinker, so I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that sounds appealing. or appetizing in any way. I have no idea. It really doesn't to me, but I mean, I should marry to a beer drinker. I imagine they wouldn't describe it that way if it wasn't going to sound good to a beer drinker or someone who knows beer. They wouldn't say, "Hey, come try this. It tastes like poop." It tastes just like you would imagine poop would taste. If you ever tasted poop, it would taste exactly like this. They would go with things that would make people want to drink it. So I'm assuming that these are good things. You can expect a sticky, dank, and juicy flavor profile. That's right. Revolution will release. And on January 1st at the Avondale Tap Room, leaning into standard stereotypes, Revolution recommends pairing the beer with tacos, grass-fed cheddar, Hawaiian pizza, and nacho cheese Doritos. It's quite a variety of beer. Will totally taste great even if you don't partake in cannabis. Death Row is on the extreme side of things and intended for hop lovers more than anything. So, hop lovers, you be prepared for what's going down in Chicago, January 1st. Hop lovers unite. Thanks everybody for checking out Cannabis News. MarijuanaTimes.org is where you can find us. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. Apple Podcasts for the audio version of the show. Thank you all for watching and listening today. Keep sharing the truth and spreading the truth about cannabis with this show. We'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.